Hello everyone. أهلا بيكم في تعلم الإنجليزية. Learn English. Another topic and another day. So today we're going to speak about the thing that we do every day. So what we usually do every day is related to our education. And it's the place that we spend most of our time every day in, which is our schools. النهارده هنتكلم على مدرستنا and we're going to speak about everything that is connected to the school. So let's start and let's look together what we're going to study in detail. So the first thing that we have today is vocabulary, and for vocabulary part we're going to cover all the vocab connected to school. So we're going to speak about school subjects, we're going to speak about people inside the school, places inside the school, everything connected to my school. And we also have grammar, and for grammar we're going to have adjectives and adverbs, and we're going to look at how good and how well, which is connected to adjectives and adverbs. And we're also going to look at skills, and we're going to look at conversation, and we'll see how we can ask and answer questions that are connected to our schools. Let's start, and let's start as usual with idioms of the day. For those who don't remember or for those who don't know, an idiom is an expression that is not literally connected to the words, which means هو تعبير أو هو expression بنستخدمه ومعناه مش مرتبط بالمعنى الحرفي للكلمات اللي فيه. So we use these idioms to sound more fluent and to sound more natural. We need them to be speaking like people speak every day, not like the book. So let's look at the idioms that we have today, which are connected to the idea of learning, education, and schools. The first idiom that we have today is school of hard knocks. So this is an idiom that we can use to speak or to describe learning valuable lessons through practical experience, not through books. So we learn from books. So what happens is that we read a book, we learn from it. But if you learn from situations, or if you learn from life, you learned from the school of hard knocks. So I can say, I don't like to speak with people in a rude way. I've learned that from the school of hard knocks. Which means أنا مش بحب أتكلم مع ناس بطريقة مش ذوق. أنا اتعلمت ده بالطريقة الصعبة. So I've tried it and it didn't work, so I've learned the difficult way or the hard way. So learn in the school of hard knocks or learn from the school of hard knocks means learn by experience. So you can ask someone, who taught you driving? They can say, nobody taught me how to drive. I learned it in the school of hard knocks. So I learned it by experience. I learned from life. Or, how did you improve your language? I learned from the school of hard knocks. It's like I tried, I failed, I tried again. So it's called the school of hard knocks. The second idiom that we have today is pass with flying colors. When we say pass with flying colors, this is an expression that we use to describe that you pass with very high grades or with very high score. So when your parents call you after the results appear and after your exam and they ask you, how was it? What did you do? And you tell them, I passed with flying colors, which means I got the full mark or I got a very high grade. Or I can say, back in the past, when I was in high school, I passed with flying colors, which means I got a very high score. Or we can use it to describe something that is very, very successful. So maybe your parents or maybe someone can speak about his business and he can say, so I opened a new company and it passed with flying colors, which means the company was very successful. The third idiom that we have is learn by heart. Learn something by heart is learn something very well or know something that there is not confusion or there is no kind of confusion when you know it. So this is learn by heart. I can say that by the age of 3, my son learned my mobile number by heart. معناه إن هو حفظه صم أو عرفه كويس جدا. So learn something by heart means you learned and you know it very well. Or when you ask your teacher, is this part important? And they can tell you, you need to learn it by heart, which means you need to know it very, very well, or you need to learn it well. Or your parents can tell you, you have to study math. You tell them, I know math by heart, which means I studied math very, very well. I know everything about it. So it's called know by heart. And the last idiom that we have for today is the eager beaver. The eager beaver is an expression that we use to describe someone who's very enthusiastic or someone who's really, really hard worker. So we can say, this girl in our class, she's an eager beaver. She always does her homework, she does her work, and she does some extra work as well. So the eager beaver is the person who loves to work hard. Or your parents tell you, how did your school go? And you can tell them, I am the eager beaver, which means I am the hard worker in the class. Or you can promise yourself, starting next year, I'm going to be an eager beaver, which means starting from next year, I'm going to work really, really hard and I'm going to study well. So this is called eager beaver. By this, we have looked at 4 different idioms that are connected to education, learning, and schools. So the first one is the school of hard knocks, which means learning something from the tough situations that you faced in life. The second one is called pass with flying colors, which is passing with very high grades. The third one is learn something by heart, which is memorize it or learn it very well. And the last one is the eager beaver or the hard worker. Let's start and let's look at the vocabulary connected to schools. So let's look at the first part, which is school subjects. Like we said and like we saw in the conversation, one of the very important things when we speak about our schools is the school subjects. So the school subject that we have is what we study in our schools. So basically we have different subjects that are connected to different grades. So right now we're going to look at all the school subjects that we can study in all different grades. The school subjects أو المواد الدراسية مرتبطة بالgrades. So we're going to look at كل المواد الدراسية المرتبطة بكل السنين. So let's look. We have the first subject is art. Art. And this is one of the fun subjects. So the subject of art, which is الفن أو الرسم. So it's called art. Art. And the second subject that we have is biology. Biology. So biology is always connected to higher grades. الناس اللي بتاخد biology اللي هم السنين الأكبر. So for lower grades or for younger people, they have the general idea of science. But when you go older and when you go to higher grades, this science will be divided into biology and other subjects. So we also have chemistry. Chemistry. Chemistry اللي هي الكيمياء. So biology that we talked about اللي هو الأحياء and chemistry الكيمياء, which are both under the main subject, which is science again. So for lower grades, they study all that in science, but for higher grades, they take each subject alone. So chemistry, chemistry, and the CH here are said as k, k. We also have ICT, ICT. Back in the past, it was called IT, information technology. So now it's not only information technology, it's information and communication technology. So back in the past as well, we used to call it computer, the idea of computer. So it was a subject, but now the subject is not called computer anymore. The subject is called ICT لأن السبجكت بتinclude أكتر من الكمبيوتر وبس. It's anything related to information or communication technology. So this is the general subject in which we study computers, emailing, internet, and a lot more. So it's called ICT. ICT. And we have cooking. Cooking classes are one of the fun classes as well. So it's suitable for lower grades and higher grades as well. It's called cooking. We also have English, and we can have different languages. So we can have English, Portuguese, French, German, depending on the languages that you choose. And we have geography. Geography is for higher grades as well. بالنسبة للlower grades هي part من الجنرال idea بتاعت السوشيال ستاديز. يعني في المادة بالنسبة للصغيرين اللي هي الدراسات الاجتماعية عموما it's called social studies. So this is for the lower grades. But when we grow up and when we go to higher grades, we don't study social studies anymore. We have geography and other subjects as well. And we have geometry. Geometry اللي هو حساب المثلثات أو الحسابات. And we also have history. زي ما قلنا for the lower grades they study geography and history together as part of social studies. When we grow up and when we go to higher grades, we don't study them together, we study them separately. يعني social studies دي لما بنكبر is divided into geography and history. This is for the higher grades. And we also have physics, and physics is again part of science. So for lower grades they have science, for higher grades they have chemistry, biology and physics. Physics اللي هي الفيزياء. And we have literature. Literature is part of the language. So it can be part of the Arabic language or part of the English language. For lower grades they take it inside the language, but for higher grades they take it alone اللي هو الأدب. So it's called literature. And we have math. And music, and this is another fun thing to study. We also have physical education. وphysical education مختلف تماما عن الفيزيكس. الفيزيكس اللي هي الفيزياء، بس الphysical education اللي هو PE, which is exercise class, where you can go play football or you can go play any other sport defense activity. So this is called PE or physical education. بكده نكون اتكلمنا على the most common subjects and the differences between subjects for lower grades and for higher grades. Let's together look at some practice for these subjects that we have studied. As we have looked at the school subjects, let's start practicing them. Let's see some pictures that are connected to these school subjects and let's see if we can identify the school subject. So let's play the game. So here we have this girl who's in the picture. So you're going to look at the picture and you're going to choose the subject that she's studying today. So which subject do you think she's studying? Let's take a look. So look at the board that she has. So we have numbers and we have equal. Do you think that this is arts? No, it disappeared. So numbers, maybe it's ICT. What else can we have numbers in it? Math? Yes, exactly. So it is math. So we're going to look at the picture and we're going to choose the correct option like we did now. Okay, so now let's look at the girl and let's look at the picture. Do you see what's in her hand? She has a map in her hand. So a map that she drew. So do you think it's art? No. What else can we have a map? Which subject do we have a map in it? Geography. Does it work? Yes, it's geography. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we have the boys here, and they have a ball with them, and they are wearing, yes, they are wearing uniforms for the football. So football uniform, what do you think it is? So let's try PE. Yes, it's physical education, or it's PE. Let's look at the next one. So the girl here, or the boy here, is wearing a cap, and he's wearing old style clothes. Why do you think he's doing that? He's wearing like people who are in the war. Why do you think he's wearing like this? Maybe he has an English class? Let's try it. No, English disappeared. Maybe arts? Still no, this is not the correct option. If we're talking about old clothes wearing like people who are in the war, maybe it's history. It's history. So the boy is studying history. What about this girl? She has a violin in her hand. What's she studying? Violin. So this is not confusing at all. It's music. Okay, next one. So the girl here has letters in front of her. She has letter A, letter T. So it's a language. And here we have two different languages. Do you think it's Portuguese? No. What about English? Exactly. So the girl is studying English. Okay. www. Do we need to think about it? So something related to the internet, which is, yes. So let's choose ICT. It's information and communication technology. Okay, so well done. It's www that has told us. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so the girl here, she's making dolls. She's making something from the paper. So, making dolls using scissors and cutting and pasting. Maybe this is science? It's not science. Math? So cutting and pasting is usually connected to arts. Exactly. So the girl is doing arts and crafts. And the last one that we have here, the boy has a plant in his hand. So what is he studying? So a plant, we're talking about plants and the plant cycle. So this is basically, yes, it's science. Science. Okay, so by this we have looked at the most important subjects, and we have practiced how we can guess the subject from the picture. Let's now look at the school again, and let's see what else we have in the school. So in a school we have subjects that we study, but in the school we also have people. So let's look at the people that we can meet in school. So let's look at people who work on the school. So who works in the school? The first person and the highest rank in the school is called the principal. The principal. The principal is the school manager. So we can call it a school manager, بس احنا مش بنستخدم كلمة manager بالمعنى ده في المدارس. So in a school مش بنقول مدير مدرسة, it's a الناظر. So it's a principal. Principal. And the second person that we meet and we all like, which is the teacher. The teacher. And we can modify the teacher with the subject, like the Arabic teacher, the math teacher, so we can mix the teacher with the subject. And we also have the secretary. The secretary. So the secretary or the administrative people are the people who meet your parents. You don't deal with them, so they are there for your parents. And we also have the school nurse. the school nurse. This is the person that you visit if you feel sick. And we have the janitors. The janitors. The janitors are the people who usually clean the school. We call them the janitor. And we also have the school counselor. The school counselor. The school counselor is the person who can help me if I have any problem and I don't know who to talk to. لو أنا مش عارف، لو عندي مشكلة ومش عارفة أتكلم مع مين، I usually go to the school counselor and I tell them my problem. So they can give me good advice and they can help me and tell me what to do. يبقى السكول counselor هو الشخص اللي بيساعدني، اللي هو الأخصائي الاجتماعي or the person who can help me with any problem that I don't know what to do with it. So it's called school counselor. School counselor. Okay, so now we have looked at people in the school. Now we need to see what places we have in the school. Like we saw in the conversation، زي ما شفنا في الconversation كنا بنسأل what was your favorite place in school. يبقى أنا عندي places, different places في school. It's not only the classroom. So let's look at different places and let's see the names of places that we have. So the places in school are all called, or most of them are called rooms. So the first room that we can speak about is the library. The library. The library is the place that you can go to read books. So library. So we need to be quiet and we spend our time reading. We also have the gym room or the gymnasium. So the gym room or the gymnasium is where we can exercise and sometimes we can spend our PE class inside. We also have a canteen. A canteen is the place that you buy your food from. It's called a canteen. Some schools have a cafeteria, some schools don't, but all schools have canteen. And we also have the sports field. The sports field. And the sports field is for playing any kind of sport. Like it can be a football field, it can be a basketball one. So it depends on the school or the sport type that you have in your school. So not all the schools have sports fields. But all schools have a place where teachers stay. So this is called the staff room. Staff room is the room for teacher. So you can call it teacher's room or staff room. And we have the nurse's office. As we said, if you feel sick at school, you just visit the nurse, where we visit her in the nurse's office. We also have the music room, where you can play music or you can get trained for music. And we have a playground. A playground, and this is the area that you can have your morning line, or you can spend your break, or you can have fun. So we said we have sports field. Some schools have sports fields, some schools no. But all schools have playgrounds. So any school has a playground where students stand up in the morning and do their morning line. تعالوا نعمل practice على كل الكلمات اللي احنا لسه واخدينها دي. So right now we're going to read a description and we're going to guess the name of the room or the place of the school. So the first one we have, I can see desks and chairs. I can see a blackboard. It's on the second floor. What it is? So it's, look at the picture, it's a classroom. أنا هوصف لكم المدرسة بتاعتي room by room. So look now and help me and let's think together which room it is. So right now, read the rest of my school description. So the first thing was classroom, like we said, and this is the second place in my school. So in my school, we play on the computer in this room. And it's on the second floor. What is it? So which room can you play on the computer or can you use the computer? So it's, yes. Look at the picture. From these computers, it's the computer room. So we can call it the computer room or the computer lab. Both are fine. My next room in my school, we play with our friends there. It's on the ground floor. What is it? So on the ground floor, and we play there. Maybe we spend our break as well. What is it? It's the playground or the sports field, depending on the school or the school type. Okay, this is the next thing that we have in my school. It has many books. We keep quiet in this room and it's on the second floor. What is it? It's, so look at the picture. People read in there, so it's the library. Library. The next one, I can see a piano in this room and we sing songs there. It's on the third floor. What is it? So play the piano, sing songs. So this room is, let's look at the picture. So this is the music room. This is the music room. Okay, so by this we have looked at rooms in our schools. We have looked at school subjects and we have looked at people in the school. So this is everything related to vocabulary that can help me describe my school better. طيب في حاجة تانية ممكن تساعدني إن أنا أوصف المدرسة بتاعتي. So when we say describe, we usually connect the word of description to the word adjective and the word adverb. تعالوا نبص مع بعض adjectives and adverbs. طيب هو احنا نقصد بإيه بكلمة adjective or adverb؟ The adjective and the adverb are two words which are very similar to each other. الادجكتيف والادفرب هم حاجتين مشابهين جدا لبعض. The only difference between them الفوكس بيبقى على ايه؟ بمعنى ايه؟ لو انا بتكلم دلوقتي على حاجه اسمها adjective هي صفه والادفرب هي برضه صفه. بس انا ممكن الصفه دي توصف شخص او توصف action. So if I am describing the person, we're talking about an adjective. If I am describing the action, we're talking about the adverb. يعني ايه الكلام ده؟ تعالوا ناخد example بسيط بسنتنس بسيطة جدا بنتكلم فيها على حد أنا I personally like. So let's speak about محمد منير for example. So I can speak and I can say محمد منير is good. So now أنا بتكلم على إيه بالظبط في محمد منير؟ أنا بتكلم على محمد منير in general. I'm describing the person, the whole محمد منير. And we have on the other side محمد منير sings. أنا دلوقتي مش بوصف محمد منير كتوتال، أنا بوصف حاجة واحدة بس which is sing. Sing ده action بيعمله محمد منير. So in this case I can say محمد منير sings well. يبقى أنا كده عندي كلمة good اللي هي الادجكتيف وكلمة well اللي هي الادفرب هما كلمتين شبه بعض. Description و description. The difference between both description, I'm describing the thing or the person in total, or I'm describing an action or something specific that the person or the thing does. تعالوا ناخد another example. So if we're talking about the canary, الكناري اللي هو عصفور الكناري. So the canary is, I'm talking about the canary in general. The canary is a beautiful bird. So now I'm talking about what? The canary. So I'm talking about the color, I'm talking about how it looks, the size, I'm talking about the canary in general. So the canary is beautiful. So beautiful is my adjective. The canary is beautiful. But let's look at sing again. So the canary sings beautifully. The canary sings beautifully. So I'm not describing the canary in general, I'm describing only the singing, or I'm describing the sound only. يبقى أنا كده عندي two different things. أنا بدescribe in general, I'm talking about the adjective. I am describing the action, I'm talking about the adverb. طيب الادجكتيف والادverb دايما هي نفس الكلمة. The only difference between them إن أنا بزود على الادجكتيف الواي ببقى حولته الادverb. تعالوا نبص عليها بتحصل ازاي. So I have a word like the word slow. So I can say my sister is slow. أنا بتكلم على إيه في my sister؟ بتكلم على my sister in general. بتكلم على thinking وعلى walking وعلى talking and everything. So as a person, she is slow. So this is my adjective. Slow is the adjective. When I add ly, I'm switching it from the adjective to the adverb, and it becomes slowly. My sister is not slow. My sister walks slowly. يبقى أنا كده بوصف one action which is walk. Or my sister decides slowly. So هي بتقرر ببطء, but she's not slow. So now I'm talking about decide, which is a verb. I'm talking about walk, which is a verb. So in this case, I'm describing the walking, I'm describing the deciding, or I'm describing the person. Person, slow. Deciding, walking, speaking, eating slowly. My sister eats slowly. And like we said, beautiful and beautifully, horrible, horribly. So let's take another example for horrible and horribly. So I'm talking about my husband. My husband is horrible. This is describing the person. هو شخص سيء, and this is not true. But my husband drives horribly. So I'm not talking about the person, I'm just talking about one action, which is driving only. So he drives horribly. And we have angry, and we have the adverb angrily. يبقى أنا كده لما هاجي أسويتش من adjective لadverb بحط extra ly. يعني أنا باخد الadjective بحط عليه extra ly, it becomes an adverb. Okay. عندي بقى حاجة اسمها irregulars. الirregulars دول هم بعض الadjectives مش بينفع يتحط لهم ly ومش بسويتشهم, or I can't put ly to switch into adverb. طب إيه اللي بيحصل؟ Actually they stay the same. Or I change the word completely. For example, fast, it stays fast. It's not fastly. And good, we change it into the word well. So like we said, Muhammad Munir is a good person, he sings well. And the next one is hard. So for hard, it's another irregular one that is both adjective and adverb. So we don't add ly. So I can say, last week I had a hard exam. So now I'm talking about exam. Hard exam, or the exam is hard. يبقى كده adjective hard. Or I work hard. So work here I'm talking about a verb, and the adverb is still hard. يبقى أنا عندي 3 different words. The 3 words are irregular and they don't take ly. The first one is good. This good we change it to well. I change it completely, and I have 2 other words which stay the same, fast and hard. تعالوا نعمل practice على الكلام ده. And let's try to put the adjectives in the sentence. So complete the sentences with an adjective or with an adverb. So let's look at the sentence and let's decide هو adjective ولا adverb based على السنتنس. وبعد كده هناخد الادجectives الموجودة ونحولها لadverbs. James ran and won the race. طيب, now I'm describing James or describing the running? I'm talking about the running. So James ran. Which option do you think is the best here? We have quick, happy, angry, loud, slow, fast, and careful. So if we're talking about ran, so he ran quickly. So James ran quickly and he won the race, and won the race. The next one, the tortoise walked. The tortoise walked. So if we're talking about the tortoise, التورتس اللي هي السلحفة. So the tortoise walked. Exactly. So we're talking about walking. So walking is a verb and the suitable adverb for it is slow. We're going to put ly, it becomes slowly. The children sang nice and, or the children sang a nice song. So here we're describing sang. So sang, which one? We can say happily, yes, or we can say loudly. Loudly. So the children sang a nice song loudly. The twins swam in a deep lake. So if we're talking about swimming, we need to be careful. And if we switch it to adverb, it becomes carefully. Carefully. So the twins swam carefully in the lake. Sarah smiled at her mother. When we smile, this is happy. So smiled happily. So Sarah smiled happily at her mother. Don't drive. Which word? Here I'm talking about drive, which is a verb. And the word would be fast. So when we switch it to adverb, it stays the same. So don't drive fast. Adjective fast and adverb fast. She said in an angry way, which is she said angrily. Okay, let's continue practicing. And for now, we're going to have two words. Based on the sentence, we're going to decide which one we'll choose. So if you ask Tom, he will lend you his motorbike. Now we're describing the word ask. So I ask nice or I ask nicely. Let's choose. So now we're talking about ask, which is an action verb. So it becomes nicely. So if you ask Tom nicely, he will lend you his motorbike. Let's go to the next one. Your French is quite. So here we have fluent and we have fluently. So which one is it if we're talking about French? So French, is it a person or is it a thing or an action? Are we talking about an action here? So French is a person or a thing, so we're talking about a noun. So that's why it's fluent. Your French is quite fluent. Let's try one more. And Sue ran to catch the bus. Sue ran quick or quickly? Look at the sentence, I will not help you. Look, what are you describing and you choose. So the word is quickly because we're describing ran. بكده نبقى بصينا على ال adjectives وال adverbs and the differences between them and when I use an adverb and when I use an adjective. Let's look at the second part, which is something that is very important and connected to the same idea. The thing that we have here is called questions with how. ايه questions with how that we're going to speak about؟ ال questions with how دي احنا لما شفنا في ال conversation حاجة من الحاجات اللي كنت بسألها how good were you at school and how well did you play music. دول سؤالين اتسألوا فأنا I asked about how good and I asked how well. طيب احنا كنا بنتكلم على ال adjectives وال adverbs فأنا عندي ال two words that can help me ask the questions اللي ساعدوني في ان انا اسال في الكونفرسيشن بتاعتي كانوا ال two key questions المرتبطين بالادجكتيفز والادفيربس. ال two key questions بتوعي هم how good و how well. طب ايه الفرق ما بين how good و how well؟ لما بتكلم على how good و how well الاتنين questions are asking about a level. So they are talking about your level. But am I talking about the level of the person in general or am I talking about the level of the action؟ زي ما كنا بنتكلم عندي واحدة فيهم adjective وواحدة فيهم adverb. مين فيهم الادفيرب؟ well كانت adverb و good كانت adjective. يبقى أنا لو عايزة أتكلم in general وأسأل على المستوى بشكل عام وبوصف الشخص، هوصف الشخص أو هسأل على الوصف بتاع الشخص ب how good. So how good is for the general description of the person. And on the other hand we have how well. How well لما باجي specify action معين الشخص بيعمله. So if we're talking about action and we're talking about the person, دايما verb to be is the friend of adjectives. يبقى أنا دايما هيبقى عندي how good is followed by am or is or are versus how well. How well we're talking about an action وكل الactions لما بنتكلم على حاجة habit we have do or does and the main verb. So I can say I am good at the noun or I am really good at the noun. النون ده ممكن يبقى أي subject موجودة عندي في السكول زي كلمة math or I am not good at math. So النون عندي اللي هو زي كلمة math هنا. هنا لما باجي أتكلم عن نفسي، طب لو أنا هسأل سؤال ده الرد بتاعه. So my question is how good are you at math? How good are you at English? ولو بتكلم على الباست، لو بتكلم على السكول دايز، لو حد كبير زي ما حصل في الكونفرسيشن، so I can switch am or is or are into was or were. The other question that we have, we can put any verb well. So I sing well or I draw really well or I don't draw or I don't sing well, I don't swim well. Here we're talking about verbs and actions. That's why we have well, which is the adverb. So if I would like to give a level for the action, if I would like to give a level for my action, we have well. طب ايه question اللي هيبقى suitable for this? The question is how well do you? So we can look at two different questions عشان نشوف الدنيا واضحة ازاي. We can look at the word English. لو أنا هتكلم على English in general, how good are you at English? بتكلم على English in general. Listening, reading, speaking, grammar, vocab, all English. But if I'm going to specify one action in English which is listen or which is speak. So in this case, if I want to know your level in the action of speak, I can say, how well do you speak English? How well do you speak English? So now we have two questions that are connected to adjectives and adverbs. How good at something and how well do you do something? How good are you at swimming? How well do you swim? بكده نبقى اتكلمنا على أهم حاجات ممكن تأهلني إن أنا أعمل description. إزاي أوصف المدرسة بتاعتي. The places in my school. People in my school. And we have looked at the conversation. How we can discuss school days and what happened in school with people. And we've looked at adverbs and adjectives that can allow me speak more and give detailed description of my school and the people in my school. We've looked at the two questions, how good and how well. وبكده نبقى وصلنا لنهاية حلقتنا النهاردة. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.